Turkey legs. Just think about those juicy turkey legs. Oh, hey guys. I'm in Texas right now. Saw a couple of fat tom turkeys and figured, hey, might go shoot a couple. I might go shoot a couple. Oh, it's Texas. Nobody cares. Today's guest got her start in social media management and marketing as she picked up a couple of guns. She picked up a camera, and now she is well on her way to becoming one of our industry's top creatives and influencers. Her story is very inspiring, and I think y'all are gonna love it. Oh, y'all, I am country now. Anyways, let's get into the episode, shall we? Shooters, are you ready? Stand by. Beep. I'm gonna give them both barrels. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Guns and Camera Podcast. I'm your host, Joshua Best, and today we have a very special guest, shooter extraordinaire, shoots everything from bows to shotguns to pistols to rifles to cameras. Kirsten Petersen, aka on social media, you might know her as XO_KN Wales. Kirsten, thank you for being on the show. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, basically, long story short, social media has actually always been a part of my life. I moved from my hometown when I was 15, and, it started with MySpace, and I already had a fascination with your basic HTML coding. Like, I loved all that stuff. So at 15, what's the one thing that can connect you from moving from California to West Virginia at 15 as a high school student? Social. So I kind of just rolled with that, and it's grown since then. I've lived a lot of places. I've done a lot of things. If you see my social media, it's very chaotic, but that's because that is my life. I was a former military wife, so we traveled a lot. We did that for about 13 years, and we live in St. Louis now, and that has become kind of home. But we've lived a little bit of everywhere. We lived in Virginia. We've lived in the Middle East. We moved back to West Virginia. But yeah, so I actually also have a 5-year-old. And that's as simple as I can put it. I love the outdoors. I love doing things that challenge me. I love snowboarding. I love shooting. I love things that I'm not good at. Because it allows me to practically apply and get better and work at something and grow with something. And I think that's the shortest I've ever put my complex, crazy life.
No kidding. I'm sure you could go 1,000 different ways with your story. But so social media, is that what facilitated kind of your entry into the photo and video world, or how did that get started?
Yeah, for the most part. I'm a nerd with algorithms, and, I always piggybacked off of what I did work-wise. So in 2015, I actually got a job at a shooting range here in the area that does your indoor shooting. They have a rental wall, they do retail, they have classes, they do training, the whole works. And I worked there since 2015, and I just wrapped up my time there in March of, what year are we in, 2024, and they've become family. That actually progressed, though, into more of your social media manager content kind of thing, because, having someone in-house is pretty important, because as we know with firearms or archery, or any type of outdoor industry, it moves at a very fast pace. And especially when you're working with small business, you want to get the word out there. You want to invite people. You want to keep people up to date. The struggle with all that, though, is 2A and Meta don't really get along. and it makes the job even more challenging. So kind of with the content creation, and pivoting it into more of a professional and firearms stuff, my job, my work saw like, hey, we need someone to take over our social media. You're going to do it. I'm like, okay, cool. And yeah. So I'm a nerd about it. I geek out about it.
Crazy.
I love algorithms. I love figuring out what works and what doesn't work. Personally, I love my social media as just what you see is what you get. Like, I don't try. I'm not trying to push anything. I'm not trying to... I've always followed these like 4 core values or something, maybe 4. I don't know. We'll find out once I say them. So connection, quality, consistency, and value. And those are like the basic pillars of what social media is about. People want to overcomplicate social media, but you really have to go back to the basics of what it was founded on. It was connecting people with other people who have like-minded interests. And it's always cool to be like innovative and do fun things or do new things and try to hop on a trend. But at the end of the day, the trends aren't sustainable. But what is the quality, the connection, the community, and community and connection, whatever, and the value. That's as simple as I can put it.
You mentioned earlier that you like challenges, and there's not a more challenging thing than working in social media in the tactical and outdoor adventure space. So is that something that you find you are drawn to, trying to figure out those issues with the algorithms?
Yes, I like cracking a code, because it's the verbiage and the words you use, or even like it's gotten so complex to the point where you can't even put a photo with text on it and it have like the word firearm on it or shooting or ammo, and you get flagged. Instagram is actually a lot better than Facebook. And I personally, Instagram is my jam. Like, that has been my thing since it launched I think I launched my Instagram in 2012. I've been on there since we're that long. And the thing is with Facebook and Meta, you get a few slaps on the wrists and they really reduce your reach. The account that I was in charge of had about 20K, and our reach at sometimes it would only be like 200 people. And it was so challenging. Of course, a lot of the times other staff, like my boss, would get on it and post things that I didn't want him to post. I mean, it would still be like normal stuff, but he would use certain words, or he would have certain photos. I'm like, we can't do that. And we were already in the doghouse. And I'm like, I'm trying to fix this, and I'm trying to like do things at a reasonable pace. It's not that I'm not doing my job. I just need to be very particular about it. What's cool though is they gave me like a playground. Like, I had all the firearms. I mean, I can still pop in now and go do whatever I wanted to do and get some content, which is a great relationship to have. Especially with kind of what we do of, helping other brands is, I can't have 50 firearms right now. Like, that's not feasible. But my job, I can go over there and pull anything that I want off the wall and, get photos or videos of it, which is really great. But yeah, that's a big challenge. I see Instagram kind of coming around a little bit. I know it's really hard for a lot of people, but not too long ago they were cutting down tremendously on a lot of the hunting content, and you would get that blurred background that would say like, this content may not be suitable for you, or it's like, it's dangerous or something like that. It was almost like a filter. They were pushing that hardcore at one point, but I don't see it as much as I do now. So it's definitely interesting to watch because there's ebbs and flows with Instagram, which is, I don't know, it's interesting. It's interesting to see.
Yeah, because I definitely will have to pick your brain on how to grow social media a little bit because I'm trying to grow. I got 3 different pages I'm trying to grow, and they all kind of do different things, but they're all kind of related. And I am not a social media guy. I'm a content guy, right? So I don't get how the algorithms work. That is not my skill set. I recognize when somebody has that ability to understand that is extremely valuable, especially in our industry. So I'm going to ask you some questions later about just how to tackle that. But let's let's move on. So, guns and cameras. So let's talk about right now what is in your camera bag, and then what is in your gun bag.
So, the perfect time for this because just 2 weekends ago, 2 weekends ago now, I finally have my own camera gear. I was actually borrowing one of my girlfriends for the longest time. She's a photographer for weddings mainly, and I was using her backup camera. So I basically had like temporary custody of it. So anytime I had it, I would take full advantage of it. But I didn't have it all the time, which sucked. So how I kind of got into picking up a camera though, let's visit that one. I was doing things in house, and I had no library. I was starting from zero, and I had to figure it all out. And in this, there is a balance between what you can get on your phone, because phone technology is great, but then what you can get with a professional camera. And like I knew I had the vision, and my vision wasn't matching up with what I can get on my phone. So I was like, okay, we need to figure this out. Because I'm very fluid with Lightroom. I've been dipping into that since like 2015. And so I understood all of that stuff. And my other job with the archery shop had a camera that I was able to use. So I was just using other people's equipment for the longest time. I didn't go to manual until October, and that was on a goose hunt. And that one was a lot of fun. I actually mainly did video for that. And I really enjoyed what I put together. That was in October. And I remember in September, Taylor, who I was using her camera for, I'm like, just give me the camera and I'll press the button. Like, I'll just have everything set up for me. I don't want to get into this. Like, I'll do it and I'll put 100% into it because it's part of my job, but I don't want to be a photographer. I don't want to be a videographer, at least on the professional side. One, I knew how expensive things were, and it was just not in the cards at all. And so she was running I've been running Canon on that side, and I really liked it. And as I was progressing and using the camera more and getting comfortable with it, I developed a love. And I really enjoyed what I was doing and what I was putting together and the stories that I was developing on the editing side. Like, I love editing too. Like, my first video took like 8 hours and I cried at the end of it because it took forever. Editing is so hard, but I love it. If anything, that's actually what I loved the most, is the editing. And I would still be okay if actually, no, I wouldn't be okay if I ever never picked up a camera again. I love it now. Now I have to because I have my own. But anyways, so I was running Canon and it was awesome. I loved it. But the more I started doing things, I'm like, I really want my own. Like, I just want my own. I want my own, that I can do whatever I want with it. If anyone needs help or a project, like, I have nothing keeping me, holding me back, and I could just have it. And unfortunately, the jobs that I did have, even working 2 jobs, it was never enough to put a little extra aside to create a little camera fund. And pricing everything out was going to be like I don't know, like 2, 3 grand or so. And that's not even including like a case or an extra lens. That's just, your body and your lens for the most part. Um, Maybe an extra battery. I don't know. And yeah, so that was a big challenge. So I made sure that I did everything that I could with what I got or what I had. So whether it was learning and doing more with the Canon and then asking so many people who I admire their work, almost like what kind of camera are you using? What kind of lens are you using? Because these are big investments and I do not want to regret an investment. Also, too, I learned that sometimes it's a lot easier to have a very similar camera to other content creators. So when you pull over files and stuff like that, it's just a lot easier. Basically, Sony was winning the game. Everyone was Sony, 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 Sony. So okay, so I figured out that I wanted a Sony A7 III. Am I saying that right? It's been a long day.
You are.
Yeah, Sony A7 III, because I felt like that was going to be a decent price point, while still giving me 3 to 5 years, maybe even less. Probably even less. I don't know. I wasn't thinking that what happened this past week or week 2 weekends ago would happen. So yeah, a few weekends ago, we went to Montana for an archery shoot. I was with a group of girls, and we were there to have fun and be together and do hard things. Like we had a freaking hike down a mountain with crazy terrain and shoot foam everywhere. So I was super excited, and they surprised me with a birthday party, a little like surprise birthday, and I was already like beside myself. Like I started losing it when they made me cupcakes with strawberries on it because those are my favorite, and they didn't even know. And then all of a sudden, I get this bag. And it's a big bag, so it's about I don't know, it's a big bag, and I pull the item up off of the top, and I put it down. It's a bag. I'm like, oh, this is super cute. And then I open up it, and I know it's a camera bag. I'm like, what the hell? And it's like I said, it's a big bag, so there's something underneath it.
Yeah.
And I'm like doing the math in my head and the size, and just like, no, this can't be true. No. And I pull out the box, and the box is wrapped in tissue paper. And so I have to like open it up, and I see the Sony logo. And I'm just like, what? Because I'm thinking like I know how much this costs. And I'm just like, I'm beside myself, and I couldn't even open up the box. I kept tapping the top of the box because it's like I was in such disbelief that I was being gifted this. And I open it up, and there it is, my camera with the lens that I was wanting, almost like my little starter kit, even though I'm like not a beginner. But it's kind of like, yeah. So come to find out, there was this huge campaign that happened, and a whole bunch of people donated to this gift. So it wasn't just the group of girls or just one girl.
That's awesome.
Like one of my friends, Chelsea, Ivory Outdoors, so Ivory Dot Outdoors, she was gonna like sell her boat and like a trailer. Like she was like, she had it in her mind. She's like I'm gonna sell something. And I'm gonna get her this camera because she could not have a camera. Because a lot of people didn't realize that I didn't have my own stuff. And yeah, and then my other girlfriend Heidi, Encounter Outdoors, she was like, okay, Chelsea, like simmer down. You're not gonna sell a boat. You're not gonna sell your boat. What can we do? How can we make this happen? So within like, I don't know, like a few hours, a few days, they raised a whole bunch of money to get me this gift. So yeah. So now I have a Sony.
That's awesome. That's a great story. I love that. Congratulations also and happy birthday. Sony A7 III is a great platform for you. I'm stoked to see I mean, if you are telling me that you shot all of this content with either a phone or a camera that's not yours, I can't wait to see what you do with this new camera. So that's huge.
So awesome. So now in your camera bag, you have a brand new Sony A7 III with your starter kit. What do you have in your gun bag? Do you have an everyday carry?
So my gun bag is my competition pistol. Unfortunately, I had to sell a lot of my guns this past year, but I can now recoup everything. But I was not getting rid of my pistol. I was not getting rid of my competition pistol. So I have a HK VP9 match, and I have about, I don't know, 7 magazines in there. I have a super. I'm a buy once cry once kind of person, but I do not like firearms that just sit on the shelf and collect dust. I want purpose in my firearms. Yeah, there's some that I don't shoot a lot, but so that's basically in my gun bag. I have my shooting glasses, my ears. I actually do either my custom ears or I just have my over the head ones that I bring as backup. I have my grip chalk in my gun bag. Basically, it's set up for my USPSA competitions, and I don't do a lot of indoor like practice shooting as I probably should. But I'm not a fan of like static shooting anymore. And I'm excited to get back into pistol matches now that I can, which is exciting. So yeah, so that's basically in my gun bag. I have a Savior gun bag. Freaking love that thing because it's so practical. And like it's made for shooters. You don't have wasted space or dumb space that just doesn't make sense. So yeah, that's in my pistol bag, and then I have a Vertex like crossbody fanny pack for my EDC because it's summer, and I have a kid, so there's a lot of things that just aren't practical for female summer, and lugging around a kid. And that's a Sig P365.
That's awesome. One of the things I love about talking to the last few people while doing this podcast is knowing how well versed a lot of the content creators are on the actual like firearm side of things, right? Because we often soak up. I mean, we're sponges. I'm a sponge when I'm on set, when I'm doing a shoot, whether I'm shooting with a retired spec ops guy that's doing a tactical training course. I'm trying to soak up as much as I can, and I try to bring that into my own training. I'm not a competitive shooter. I'm thinking about it, but I don't necessarily have the time to commit to doing that right now. So it's awesome that you compete. It's very cool to see. Again, like you can rattle off the title. I mean, it sounds like you know your competition pistol inside and out, right?
Oh yeah, and I have a ChurchCon SRO. So I'm very simple with my setup. The my first pistol that I bought was actually no, we will not talk about the first pistol that I bought. That's embarrassing. So my second pistol that I bought, my mature purchase, was a HK VP9. And that one is just like, it's gold in my hand. And I was like, I don't want to step away from this platform. I like it a lot. So I just got the match, and that's what I run with my competitions.
All right, so I'm gonna push you because you mentioned it. Now I gotta know. We gotta know what was the first pistol. Why was it embarrassing? You can't say that and then not tell us what it was.
It was a SIG P250 and a 40. I was young. I was dumb. It's kind of like your first tattoo. You just have to wear it with a badge of honor. But although I'd rather wear my 18-year-old when I got my tattoo, I'd rather die on that one than
Yep. Did you shoot it before you bought it?
I did. That's the problem. I don't know what I was thinking. And you want to know another thing? You want to know how dumb I was? So I could have had the opportunity to purchase a SIG P226, and I still chose the polymer frame. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was just more of that the power, or like the heftiness of it, because I liked it maybe being light but having that recoil feel. I don't know. And maybe like the 226 was just like too heavy at the time. Um yeah. Yeah, I was dumb. I even bought like a Sig Mosquito too, and that thing jammed all the time. Like, I don't know. I just, we won't talk about it. Now I got my VP9 from HK. I have a Daniel Defense. Like, I'm going to be getting a Beretta shotgun. Right now I have a Benelli pump. Like, I've learned and I've grown in the firearms community.
And Kirsten says she doesn't have that many guns. It sounds like you have all of the guns that matter. So,
Well, yeah, that's true. I have one rifle. I have two pistols, technically. My next purchase, though, is going to be a Beretta A400 for shooting clays. And then I want to get actually another one for waterfowl.
so let's talk a little bit about some of your favorite projects. So, of your pictures of other things you've done to date, which are your favorite?
That is a great, great question. So I would say pictures. So we're talking about pictures, not video.
It could be both, photo or video. Yeah, both.
So let's do my most recent one. So let's do video. So I put together one for my former job, Ultimate Defense, because we had a Beretta little outdoor range day for their shotguns. And that was a lot of fun to put together because I was getting a lot more confident with my settings. That was actually most recent too. But I was at the point where I could pick up the camera and not have to remember where I left off. Because mind you, I was occasionally using the cameras. So I would go certain periods of time and I would pick it back up and I'd be like, I forget how to use this. Like, what's the ISO? What is this? What is that? So that was a lot of fun. And I really love the storyline that I kind of put together of that. And I like the song took me forever to figure out. Probably a combined of 24 hours. I think I lost sleep over it too, of figuring out what song to put with that. And then the photos. So the photos would probably be, I went to Western Hunt Expo in Salt Lake City. And again, I borrowed a camera from my buddy James Nash. He does a podcast with Six Ranch Outfitters. And I was like, you got your camera? I don't know how many times I would ask someone that, like, you got your camera? Can I use it? You gonna use it? I'll get content for you. Get photos, videos, what do you want? And so he let me use his, and I wandered off for a little bit, and I just got photos of the expo and just random stuff like banners or products. Or, I mean, I had that camera maybe for like 30 minutes just walking around. So it was a very quick snaps. And I pulled them over to Lightroom and I was starting to practice more and getting more in depth with Lightroom. And yeah, I seriously, yeah, there was just a few photos that I got, but Hunt Expo. Oh, and then another video. I want to say another video. Another video was at Safari Club International in Nashville for their annual conference. And it was a Beretta video that I put together. And they had their master engraver and their master, I'm going to butcher this, but they're the guy who makes the stocks and the checkering and stuff like that. And that one's probably my favorite project to date, because I cared a lot about what I was putting together, and it was so beautiful. I'm a sucker for marketing, and with these shows that we go to in the booths, a lot of them are copy and paste. Like, they're all just kind of the same stuff, the same hoopla, like just the same. And Beretta had an interactive kind of booth to where they had someone there working on their products and working on their stocks and their receivers. And already the name behind it, 500 years of craftsmanship and art, and I loved what they did, because it brought people to that art and that skill set and the history behind the brand. and the beauty behind it. You know, it's not just a gun. It is, you know, it is tradition. It is family, especially like shotguns and hunting shotguns. Like those are very group environments, very family history and community and stuff like that. And that one was a lot of fun. And because I wanted to make it really personal, I searched high and low for the right song. And I ended up finding a pianist from about a 2-hour radius from where Beretta headquarters are in Italy. And the song was actually called Fly. And it was a beautiful piece. And I'm like, I have to, like, I need that connection. Like, I'm the type of person where I wanted it all to connect. Joe from down the street may not understand the thought behind it, but I do, and I geek out over it. So it was just it was beautiful. If you haven't seen it yet, you need to see it. Don't tell me about it though, but you need to watch it. I don't want feedback. But that one was a really personal one.
Well, they got away. Of course, it doesn't help that I'm using a fake 12 gauge, and I got a picture with my cell phone, so I guess that's all that really matters. But today's episode is brought to you by 1156 Productions and by Tokens of Valor. Tokens of Valor, it's me. I make the stuff. I take sterling silver and bullets and I turn them into handcrafted, rustic, quality, lifetime heirloom pieces for men and women that I think you guys will like. If you're interested in getting a custom piece made, go check me out on social media. Instagram, it's Tokens of Valor. Send me a DM and we'll get it started for you. But in the meantime, I'm still in Texas, so I'm gonna go shoot some stuff while you guys finish out Kirsten's story in this week's episode of Guns and Cameras. Enjoy it, guys.
Here's kind of the neat thing, right? Because you're coming from a social media kind of algorithm background, and you started shooting, and you connected with the storytelling part of things and the art form of it, where you're like, again, picking music is hard. Finding this narrative is hard, but even being able to think about artistically wanting to find and source music from the region that Beretta is manufactured, that is very cool. I mean, a lot of us, we kind of live now in the social world with video where the art form of storytelling is kind of gone. Now it's all about grabbing at people's attention with a hook, and it's very, like you said, it's kind of generic. Everybody has this kind of same look and the same design to their content, but it's refreshing to have somebody like you coming in and trying to find the art in it, right, in your approach, which I think is awesome. So please keep doing that, because that is necessary in our content world, because that's what, for me, I'm an artist first, right? And I'm actually trying to get out of the commercial production world, just because I feel like my soul has been like just destroyed by the ask of like, just give me something, you know, just make it like what everybody else is making. And I'm like, but I don't want to do that, right? So that's awesome. I can't wait to watch it. So moving on here, who has been the biggest the person or public figure in our industry, in the outdoor adventure industry, that you've worked with? Do you have any stories from that encounter? And yeah, let's just go for that.
Oh, goodness. Okay, so I actually took about 3 years off from the industry. And I didn't get back into it until January 2023. So from 2018 to 2023, there was a lot of stuff that I just kind of checked out on. One, I had a kid. It just had him. You know, I was raising him. My ex was going to law school. You know, the pandemic. Like, it was just a whole series of events. And I thought that I can just, hop back into things. And holy cow. No. Nope. I had multiple incidents where I'm just like, is this not my thing anymore? Like, is this, I felt very intimidated. Something you think and then you get thrown into it and you're just like, I don't know this anymore. So I got back, I got my head back in a book, and not really, but like YouTube. And I just went back to the basics, and I started learning more, catching up with the industry. Thankfully, like YouTube, I really don't watch TV. I'm always watching YouTube, whether it's a gun review, it's always about reviews in the industry. So I got back to that. And one of the YouTubers that I really enjoyed their content, and I liked the fact that they touched on bullet points that were very comprehensive to just your normal day-to-day gun folk. Because I was kind of like that at my job. I was kind of the translator, because I worked with a lot of like military, law enforcement, tactical guys that, Johnny from down the road, who's never picked up a pistol before, he doesn't need to be hearing all this crazy terminology. Like, guys, like, let's dumb it down a little bit and just ease them in, because if you use big words, they get intimidated, and it's already an intimidating environment to be in. So, anyways, I love the fact that he was very straightforward, but also gave insight for people who did have a little bit more gun knowledge. So this was James Reeves with TFB, and I went to TriggerCon, which Ashton was the one who kind of like pulled me out of my shell, because I was at an event last year, and I was deer in headlights. I didn't talk to anyone. I was terrified. I was intimidated. I was just like, I don't belong here anymore. This was once my home, and I felt so out of place. And it scared the shit out of me, to be honest. I'm like, this isn't me. No, like this, I want to be here, and I need to get my shit together, and I need to like rally, because I want to be in this industry. I wanted to be on a corporate level too. And like, I knew what I had to do. I knew the hustle that I needed to put in. And so I referred, to YouTube. So I go to TriggerCon, and that was kind of like, I knew that was going to be what I needed to do to build the relationships and get me to the next step. So that was show season. So that was being kicked off with, ATA, SHOT Show, SCI, Western Hunt. So all those things, because I wanted to be confident. And I had to sell myself, because I wasn't my resume, and I'm not just my social media. So I knew that putting myself in front of people was going to be what I needed to do. And so I'm driving with April, and we pull into the parking lot at TriggerCon, and I see James getting out of his vehicle, getting set up. He's with one of his camera guy, Lucas. And at that point, I didn't know who Lucas was. I was like, April, that's James. And I don't fangirl. I do not fangirl. And I'm like, I really want to say hi to him. And I'm the type of person too, it's like, I don't want to regret not saying hi to someone, or not introducing myself, or not saying too, like, hey, I like your stuff. Like right now, people, we need to not hold back of calling things out in a positive way, of like, I like your shit. Like, you are doing fantastic. Like, keep it up. You're amazing. Like, keep doing what you're doing. It's such a competition, and it shouldn't be, because we all have different styles. And if anything, if someone comes to you and you can't deliver that style or that time, be like, you know what? I know who I can point you to, because like, you want that person coming to you, you want to appreciate that trust, but you also want to hand that trust over. And if there's someone who you admire and who can be a better fit, like, do it. Like, bro, do it. So anyways, I'm like, oh my God, say hi. She's like, wait, go say hi. So I like launch myself out of my vehicle like a dipshit. And I was like, okay, James, like, I need to say, I'm like, thank you. He's all, for what? And I'm like, you got my shit together. He's like, you're welcome. And yeah, actually from I know it was crazy. They also thought that the girl that I was with, they also thought like we were together too. So that was a funny story to hear after the fact. But we have I whenever I see them at shows, we get together, we hang out, whether it's with Lucas or Ryan. Those are the two. Ryan has been a very big go-to for my camera stuff as well. So I've like picked his brain. He's helped me with a lot of things. So a relationship basically got developed from me being my awkward self, and he's always very kind and inviting. I mean, the list goes on. I have been extremely, extremely blessed in the people that I've met. Because as we know, this industry can be very toxic. And there are a lot of toxic people. And there's a lot of toxic things. I've met some phenomenal people who I can call up and ask a question and it get answered. Or they can like help me with a problem or help me, it's crazy. I mean, shoot, you, for example, like we met at TriggerCon randomly, and like just these people that you develop these relationships with, and every time you see each other at these events, it's like you never went, months in between seeing each other. I mean, shoot, at SHOT, it was literally like a, like, we barely saw each other. But yeah, I think that would probably be it. Because like he really helped me. And he got me to kind of where I needed to go to get back into the education side of things with firearms. And one of my biggest pet peeves is like, I'm a female in the industry. I need to know my shit. Like I need to work harder to establish that I know what I'm doing. And I can't screw up. I can't just, and I'm not a bullshitter. Like I can't bullshit at all. I say how it is. I'm vulnerable and naive sometimes, but I don't freaking care. There's too many people who have ego get in front of them that really ruin things. And I'd rather say I don't know and find out than say I know and look like a dumbass.
I appreciate that you are sharing the story of like, again, it's community, right? If anybody is wanting to, if somebody's watching this and they want to get involved with the tactical outdoor adventure industry, the first thing that they should know is that it's a very small, very tight-knit community that does have a lot of ego, right, involved. And trying to navigate that can be challenging, but I'm finding that because of some of the mutual challenges we have, especially in social media and marketing and censorship in our industry, we're all kind of in this together. And unless we help each other, we're not going to get anywhere, right? And I think that the creatives that have entered into the industry now from a marketing perspective have been kind of a force that drives that, right? Because we don't necessarily have the muy macho, like, I'm going to do it my way kind of mentality, because we are coming from the background of, again, hey, we're artists, right? And if you have a question, why not go ask somebody else who might know, versus, the old school, I'm going to find out myself and that's the only way, sort of mentality. So I appreciate you sharing that. Thank you.
So there's a collaboration where we have to put aside maybe our own vision and figure out how we can like still stay true to our vision and what our style is, but almost like mold it around. Because at the end of the day too, a lot of the times who we're working with or who we're working for, they don't really have an idea, and it's about molding that. So we have to step aside and maybe like guiding them a little bit more and having realistic expectations for how things work. Because, I mean, as you probably experienced, there's a lot of people who do not understand all that goes on behind the scenes. You're not just picking up a camera and pressing a button. You're not just opening up your computer or your phone and finding a template that's already made. Like, no, you're creating something from nothing. And a lot of it too is trial and error, which is fun, but also scary because that's time. You don't know if it's really going to work out until you're actually doing it or you're in that environment where you can really test it. A prime example was I was in a hunting blind for waterfowl, and I didn't realize that I needed to make sure that my settings were correct for when I popped out of the blind. I'm dicking around the settings inside the blind where it's really dark, but when I'm outside of the blind, it's really light. So those are I mean, thankfully in those experiences, like I'm learning. There's no pressure on me. But if there's any advice that I can give to anyone who picks up a camera and is wanting to do more, is put yourself in every kind of environment, inside, outside. I'm pretty sure you can relate to this, but you pick it up and you're probably maybe even learning something new when you do something and you're just like, oh, or I should have done this differently. It's not consistent, that's for sure. With this stuff.
Yeah, one thing that people don't understand is for every one good picture, there's at least 10 or 20 not good pictures that didn't quite make it, right? And it's something that, like, I love how you shared earlier that that first video you edited, right? Coming out after the other side with all the frustration and like the emotion of being like, that was hard, but now it's done. People don't see that side of the videos, right? We consume so much so fast, and we miss the understanding that somebody had to sit there, and it could be a 30-second spot, but somebody had to scroll through and scrub through all of the footage or the pictures. They had to keyframe all the animations. They had to color grade every shot. They had to pick the music. They had to pick the sound effects. They had to a lot of times come up with the copy because, and all of that takes time and energy and effort, right? Somebody had to make that decision. And a lot of times in our industry, it does boil down to one person, right? Because a lot of these brands are small. They don't have the budgets for full creative teams. And what I think is funny with your background is I run into all the time the expectation that I am a social media expert, right? Because content creation and social media marketing are kind of becoming synonymous. And so a lot of times I have clients being like, hey, not only do you do content creation, but can you help me with the marketing and the social media management side? And I'm like, I know a little, but not enough, right? You really need two people. And so from you, I'm assuming that your background as well, you're coming from the social media management marketing side, but the expectation is that you're also a content creator, right? So I'm sure that there's always going to be that struggle of like having to fit this. You have to be the entire marketing team in one person, and that's a lot. That's like 5 full-time jobs.
It was a lot when I was doing it for the archery shop. I was doing it not full time, but I was part time, and I was also learning more of the hunting industry, which I didn't know too much about. And like, dude, the amount of tabs that I would have open on just freaking turkeys. Like, I was reading like the Missouri conservation booklet because, again, I don't want to be wrong about the information that I'm putting out there. I'm there to educate, and I'm there to build a community. So I'm doing that research. I'm not just putting something out there just because. Like, I want purpose behind it. I mean, of course, you throw out those filler ones that have just like, no education. It's just like an emoji and a word or something like that. But I always want to create that balance because, there's people who are just getting into things. And I want to talk to those people who want that guidance. But I also want to talk to the people who are experienced or who know the lingo and who can relate to that excitement that comes with hunting. And also, too, like being up to date with the hunting laws and putting that information out there, because in real time too, I'm learning. And, I was doing it all. I was, scheduling things out. I think once I finally got a good library built, I was scheduling out a month with all my posts for that. And then I was following the hunting seasons too. So I was making sure that whether it was the start or the prep or the gear, because I had to have those talking points. And it is a really true full-on schedule that you need to be ahead of the game. And a lot of people want to, shit on social media managers, but I can't imagine, and maybe with the right resources I could, but I can't imagine having multiple accounts to really juggle and not just put something out there. Because actually that's one of my biggest, I will never just put something out there. I'd rather wait a few days and go dark on social, on my feed, than just put something that doesn't resonate with me or something that doesn't have purpose behind it.
So let's move on to, this is kind of like the big question of the show, and I want this to be kind of the fun thing, right? Not that all of the rest of this hasn't been fun, because it's been awesome, and I really super appreciate your point of view. But so this is the question: what has been to date your biggest oh shit moment? Could be good, could be bad, could be both.
So for the last 60 years, maybe even more, my family has been going on a family hunt every single year. And it's typically in Colorado. It's typically in Maybell, Colorado. And the last few years, it's kind of bounced around. And this year, it was going to be in Montana. And because my aunt and uncle just recently moved to Montana. And my papa goes back from Montana to California. And he was going to be there. And that's where we're going to have our hunting. That's where they were going to have their hunting trip this year. We were going to camp, and we didn't get to do that because of the weather. And so I brought a camera, again, that I borrowed, and I had it for, I was there for 7 days. We were supposed to be hunting 5 days, and it ended up being 4 days because of another problem that happened, which was crazy. Ran out of gas and a ball bearing went out on both trucks, like one and the other, right in between each other, as we got stranded for a while. Yeah. Anyways, so I'm a newbie, and this was in November. I didn't think of backing up my content every single day after the day. And I finally got to go on my family hunting trip after many years of saying, I'll go. This is my first time ever finally going. And, I was with my papa and my uncle and my cousins. And, my papa's getting older, and, I don't know if he's going to have any more left in him after, these next few years. And, I was gathering as much content as I could. And I go and turn on my camera, I think on the 4th day or the 5th day, and my files, it's corrupt. I can't get anything back at all. And I still haven't touched that SD card. Like, I don't even want to. I tried messing with it. I tried figuring it out. I tried. So I had, 4 days of hunts with my family that are just gone. I got some stuff on my phone, but I was like, I had it on the camera. So I learned quickly that I need to be backing up my stuff as soon as I can get to a computer, or as soon as I can pop that SD card in and put things into my hard drive. But what was cool is that when I realized that there was a problem, I had an extra SD card with me, which I didn't have the last few days. And that last day, I was able to get some awesome photos of just me and my papa and some elk and we were in the woods, and I got some really cool things from that. But yeah, have multiple SD cards on you and back up your
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry that happened. That is that is my nightmare. Um, Especially with moments like that, right? Yeah, it's and paid work, big projects. I stress about that kind of stuff. That stuff and nightmares for me. So I'm so sorry. That's the worst.
Yeah, that's one thing I'm really happy about is that I don't have everything that I do really has been like for free, for fun. And like I would get so nervous of just having that one thing happen, even though you can prepare all you want, you can plan all you want, you can be proactive and productive, you're still working with equipment and electronics and ugh.
Yeah, it sucks. That's the worst. What is coming next? What are you looking forward to for the rest of this year?
Well, after a year and a half of hard work, I finally got my corporate job in the industry. So I am now a corporate girly and I'm stuck at a desk. No. I don't even know. I don't even know what today is. I don't even know. I don't know. I don't know what's next. Follow me on Instagram. You'll find out in real time.
So, what are you doing now then? Can you say what your corporate job is?
I can. So I am digital advertising sales with Gunbroker. And what's cool is that we work hand in hand with marketing. So ideally, I would love to be in a marketing position. Um, but this is kind of like a once in a lifetime opportunity for my life right now because it's remote. It's with a very built up organization. It is on the sales team, but we still do a lot of the marketing aspects and we still have a lot of creative pool, which is great. And I'm like week 2, or actually week 1, day 2 now into it. And it's a lot. It is a lot to juggle. But I finally have my place and my position in the industry without being a little misfit and just like hopping around everywhere.
So, what you're saying is that if I am looking for a certain thing, you might have the inside hookup on being able to track it down for me, maybe?
Possibly. The one thing about me is I have a lot of resources. If I don't know, I'll find it. I'll find out. I don't know. Maybe I'm up for a challenge.
All right. Well, I have a list of certain pews that I've been looking for a while, and so I might just send that over to you and see if you can find them for me. Um, that's awesome. Congratulations, Kirsten.
Thank you. I mean,
Stoked for you.
last 11 weeks I was unemployed, so it was crunch time.
So is that's your full-time thing? Are you still doing freelance work? Is that something that you're kind of shutting down for now and you're just focusing on this new gig or what?
Oh no. So I'll still, like I said, I've never really gotten like paid to do anything. So I volunteer with a veterans organization, so I do a lot of content for them. And so any opportunity that I can to help them, I usually do it. My friend Taylor, she has amazing property and she's wanting to get into the outdoor industry and working with brands. So we help each other with a lot of the content. So whether it's, her getting me as the content, like the person in the photos and stuff like that in the videos, or now I'll be using her. I don't know. When we have we're just kids. At the end of the day, we're just kids and we want to play around with our cameras and we want to, I don't know, like you want to go fishing and I'll film you fishing. Like we'll create something out of it. Like it's just, that's how we kind of do it. I mean, shoot, even when I went to Montana with a whole bunch of us girls, we're all on social media anyways. And when they were doing the surprise stuff, like they had the phone up at the front door recording. They had a GoPro on the couch. And I didn't think anything of it because that's what we do. Like we bring people along with their lives and we document things. So, as photographers or videographers, you always have your camera on you because you never know when you'll have that opportunity to just do something fun that you just didn't expect. So, yeah, I mean, I'm working with Stopbox USA. I do some stuff with them. And now that I have my camera, I can do more. And it's just a matter of me getting over to Ultimate Defense and pulling some stuff.
That's awesome. So if people want to work with you or work on a project with you, what is the best way for them to reach out or get a hold of you?
Probably Instagram or my website. At least my website has my portfolio on there. I really just dump stuff over there. I care about what I put over there, but it's more of just a place that has all my work. I don't have my own work social media. Even though you have 3 that you work with, I'm not an advocate for multiple socials. And I just like putting everything on one social for me. And as much as I say I don't care about my social media and what's on there, sometimes like there's just a creative flow that I want to keep. So certain things I'll dump over to my website that's a little bit more professional looking. So my Instagram or my website.
Awesome. Who do you think should be, after being on the Guns and Camera podcast, who do you think, or who would you recommend that is on future episodes? Who do you know in your network that should be on the show?
Well, I already know someone you probably reached out to. Alex.
Yep, she's been on it.
Alex, without a doubt. Jamie. So Miss Grindle. She does a lot of stuff with Silencer Shop. And yeah, actually I do have one. His name is Devin Degenhart. And he is more of your hunting content and your archery side of things. He does a lot of projects with Morel. And his stuff is good. And he's a geek. He's a geek for the camera stuff. He does a lot of waterfowl too. So he likes shooting. He does a lot of the wildlife stuff. So the dogs and the birds. That would be a good one.
Well, Kirsten, thank you so much. We're at an hour, and so that was awesome. Thank you so much for all of your insight, for sharing all of your stories with us. I super appreciate it. This has been a great episode. A lot of valuable stuff in there. If you could leave, just to kind of wrap us out, what is one piece of advice that if somebody is just starting out in the guns and camera space, what would you tell them?
If your heart's in it, don't let anyone else tell you differently. If you care about what you're doing, and it goes back to the old saying, like, I would do it for free kind of thing. You're going to have your challenging moments where you are going to have to work for free or feel like you work for free. But it all pays out in the end, whether it's the relationships that you build and the connections that you create or the skill sets that you learn. You're going to be on your dream shoot one day. And you're going to be working with people that you admired and that you watched, or you're going to have people you looked up to on the camera side saying that like what you do is amazing. So it's be intentional and don't give up. You're going to have a lot of people, especially in the camera space, who say you're crazy and that you shouldn't be following this dream, or it's just it's not realistic. Stick with the people who see the vision. Ignore the ones who don't, or just use it as fuel to get better. And never stop learning. There's no cap. That's one thing I love about the industries. There's no cap. You're not just going to one day run out of ideas. One day you're not going to run out of, new programs or technology or new lenses or new environments. Like, if you're struggling, reach out to people too. The community, again, as toxic as it can be, they are extremely helpful. Yeah, sounds cheesy, but just don't give up. Find that community, find the people who have that vision, and ride that freaking wave with them.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Wow. Holy smokes. This has been an awesome hour. You guys, thank you for hanging out with us for the Guns and Cameras podcast. We have just chatted and had a great time with Kirsten Petersen, also known on social media as XO_KN Wales. Wow. Thank you so much, Kirsten, for being on the show. We appreciate you. You guys, follow, do the stuff with the social. I'm terrible at it. I'm so embarrassed to even try to pitch social in front of Kirsten. But anyway.
Follow, subscribe, comment down below.
Yeah, all the things. So thank you for hanging out with us, you guys. Have a great evening, and we'll see you next time.
Well, I think I like Texas. It's pretty sweet down here. Also, I hope you guys enjoyed this week's episode of Guns and Cameras. Kirsten has an amazing story. When I first heard it, it blew my mind. It takes a lot of guts to be able to pick up a camera or a tool that you're unfamiliar with and be able to jump in with both feet and say, hey, I don't know, but I'm gonna try. I'm gonna give it my best shot. Pun intended. And Kirsten did that, so shout out to you, Kirsten, big props. Also, if you don't already follow Kirsten on Instagram, go check her out. Her channel is at XO_KN Wales. And now's a good time too, because she's got that new camera and a new lens, and there's gonna be a lot of good content on there. So go check her out. Hey guys, thanks again for joining this episode of Guns and Cameras. I'm still in Texas, so I might go, light up a cigar and just enjoy all of this, because this is awesome. Have a great night, guys. We'll see you next time.